Hey, it's John. I get this question a lot this time of year and in the fall. And it's basically, if I was a yearbook advisor, how would I approach the task of creating a yearbook? And so I wanted to put this quick video together just to give you guys an idea of my approach. And to me, it's just about making your life easy. So let's take a look. So I'm going to take this from the approach of starting right around now, the beginning of May. If I was an advisor, I would be getting a few steps out of the way before I started back at school in September. And step one's the cover. My approach to the cover would be to lean on the Walsworth art team. If you have a great artist at the school, that's great. If not, what I would do is go through our cover gallery, go to Pinterest, go to Google, find an existing cover that you really like, that your staff loves, and then base it off of there. This is Cold Spring Harbor Junior. We found this on the gallery. They sent in their directions, and then we just tailor-made it to work for them. There's no reason that you can't get your cover done now at the end of the year. I understand some of you don't have your staffs together, but a lot of your staffs do include juniors and sophomores. So I wouldn't hesitate to get them together, find a design, get with our cover staff, and get this out of the way. It's a big step. Once you have your cover done, you really can get in gear. So don't hesitate to get your cover done now. Step two is reviewing the existing ladder diagram. So let me go over the difference. I'm going to use the terms available at the school and gathering. So what I mean when I say available at the school, if I'm covering baseball, for example, the baseball game is going to be played at the school. I can go out to the baseball field, take the photos, talk to some kids. I can get that. That's available at the school. Gathering is something like baby pictures. That's where I have to send a letter home to parents and tell them this is what I'm looking for. And then I have to wait for photos to come in or make calls and emails looking for these things. Gathering is a very different thing. So we're going to talk about the difference between available to school and gathering as we go. My first step with my ladder is what has to stay. I would identify all of the spreads in your book that have to be in your 2024 yearbook. In general, it's going to be people pages, sports clubs, advertising if you have it, and events. So identify what needs to be in the book. Make a list of these. Make a second list of everything else in your book. Once you have that list, take a look at it and determine, did this slow us down in 2023? Was it really difficult to get these things? Was it easy? Was it fun? Did it make sense? At the end of the day, like, was this a good spread? Go through this with your staff and figure out what really should stay for next year and what you can get rid of. I like the 90-10 rule, and what that means is 90% of the coverage in my book, 90% of what I have in my ladder, I can assign to a staff member on a Monday, and by that Friday, they can have that spread done. Or I could work on a 2-week cycle. Either way, I want my staff to have the ability to go get what I need them to get, and I'm not relying on people outside of my yearbook staff or outside of my building to give me that information. Okay, my favorite slide. What are we getting rid of? You guys have heard me talk about this for years. Babies. There are no babies in your school. This is a high school yearbook or a middle school yearbook. I don't think there are any babies attending unless they're really advanced. Babies are gathering. Babies you have to wait weeks before these come in. You have to call all the parents that don't participate to make sure you have their baby. Once you get the photos, it's hard to tell who is who. So you have to go through every baby and make sure you have the right baby picture with the right name and create a key, and you have to place them individually. This is just walking through the mud for no reason. I'm not a fan of babies. I would eliminate them from your books. Senior quotes. All you have to do is a Google search of senior quotes in the news, and you will see last year tens, if not hundreds of stories of kids that are sneaking things into yearbooks and becoming national news. Rule 1 of yearbook is we do not want to be in the national news. You could always get rid of superlatives. Again, I think the time has come that voting on people for different categories like this might be a dated type of activity. I wouldn't have a lot of room for it in my yearbook. Again, it's totally up to you guys what you want to do, but I would think about maybe updating this section for sure. Now and then, cars, pets, siblings, elementary school. Again, all of these are not high school activities or middle school activities. These are things that didn't happen during the 4 years that your students are in your school. I know they create good filler pages, but I think there's a lot going on in your building that kind of gets ignored at times, that's right there to be covered and would make for a much more interesting book than kind of looking back at what would be, tantamount to a Facebook page with, kids in their cars or cats. And I would take a hard look at all of these subjects and see if we can't modernize the yearbook. Just because cars were part of the book in 1984 doesn't mean it has to be part of your book in 2023. So I know the first thing you guys are all going to tell me is that if we get rid of the pets and we get rid of the cars and we get rid of the cats, everyone is going to become screaming and yelling, and it's just going to be a nightmare. Good news is you're not getting rid of them. They just moved to the ad section. Anybody that wants cars and cats and babies, you go to the ad section, you take an ad, and you can fill up that page with as many dogs and cats as you like. Totally up to them. The parents can put in a nice quote. Whatever they want to say on the ad, that's up to them. Most of the parents are going to be responsible, and they're not going to put things in the ads that are going to be controversial. It's a tribute to their kid. This way, we get everything the kids want. It's on their page, and we do it for a small fee, and we generate a little revenue. So this is a win-win. So if we're going to take all these pets and babies out of our yearbook and no cars, what are we going to fill that up with? Well, if you look at your student body, about 15% of the kids play a sport. That means 85% of your kids are not playing a sport, but they're all active, and most of them are doing things. So I just took a quick look at one of our school's websites, and I found 8 really cool topics that you could replace cars and babies and superlatives with. Best Buddies Club. My daughter participates in this club. It is a fantastic group. I don't know, most schools have it. Robotics is super interesting. I'm a big fan of BattleBots. I think this is a fantastic subject. Great photos you can get, filming robotics. Anime club, chess club, art shows, music performances. We found at this school had the National Honor Society was doing like an extra help tutoring program. That's a great spread. And then the yearbook club. You guys are having a lot of fun during the course of the year. Chronicle it and put a spread in there. Too many of these subjects, we simply take the group shot and we put it in a really boring club section. But a lot of these clubs are doing really interesting things, and they're doing them right at the school. Again, the difference between gathering and available at the school. All of these are available. If the Best Buddies Club is meeting this Thursday, send some kids down there with a camera, tell them to spend a little time, find out what's going on at the club, take photos, ask who, what, where, when, why, how. Make that into a spread. That is much more interesting than kids in their cars. The robotics team is fantastic. These guys are working, and guys and girls are working all year long to build robots for competitions. That is amazing. I think it was, and I rarely see a robotics page in the book. I see the club, and it's just the kids sitting in the bleachers just looking at me, but I don't get a feel for what they're doing. There are 30 or 40 clubs in every school. That's 3 or 4 times more than the sports. But we get no coverage on these. These make for great spreads. So I would really encourage you guys, get rid of the pets, get rid of the babies, fill it with this stuff. And again, all available at the school. So let's see how this all shapes up in my ladder. So first thing I do is I do a chronological book. Chronological book just means in the order it's happening during the year. You want to open your book with a title page. Then you're going to move to a table of contents, and then the senior divider, and then people. This makes your life so much easier to stack your people at the front of the book. So in this case, I've got the first 103 pages of my book. And in this case, my fictional book is 208 pages. So in this case, the first 104 pages are the seniors, the underclass, and the faculty, all stacked together with dividers in between. 104 is my fall divider. So for deadline 1, all I'm doing is the portraits. That's super easy. My portraits are going to be coming into December. I'm not doing senior quotes, so I just need to flow the section and make sure the names are spelled correctly. I flow my underclass and make sure they're all spelled correctly. I flow the faculty and make sure they're all spelled correctly. I get the letter from the Board of Ed, letter from the principal. I know those are 2 very difficult ones and usually the last thing, but if you have to hold that spread, no big deal. But this makes deadline 1 in January very easy to achieve. At the same time, I'm going to be working on my fall pages. That's my fall section. I'm not going to do a sports section. I'm not going to do a club section. I'm just going to pick topics in the fall, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Deadline 2 is in March. So basically what I'm going to be working on for deadline 2 is the winter activities. That's page 134 to 165. And I'm basically just working along as I go. As these events happen, I send kids to cover them. I give them 2 weeks. So I assign it on a Monday, and I hope it's back the following Friday. Deadline 3, it's just my spring activities. Basically spring sports, might be the musical, things like that. Third step in the easy yearbook is to find styles. So by styles, I just mean, what is the book going to look like? The number one mistake yearbook advisors make is they have their yearbook staff's design pages. I would take this step away from my staff, and I would have everything done in advance. And let's talk about how we're going to do that. The main reason I want to do that is it's just exceptionally difficult to teach all of your kids proper design. You're going to have 5 kids, 8 kids, 12 kids, 15 kids, whatever your staff might be. And it's really, really difficult to teach everybody how to do layouts, then come up with a consistent look. And kids end up sitting down and spending hours upon hours trying to develop a layout that probably doesn't look anything like what the kid next to them is doing. And so it becomes a very inconsistent look in our book. What I would recommend is having your staff as a group go to Google, figure out the pages. So in this case, title page, and I just did a Google search of yearbook title page, and here's 3 examples. I really like the one on the left, the Cedar Park High, so I'm going to go with that. It's basically got school information and just like a general picture of a lot of kids. I don't like the other 2 because it focuses in on, in one case, 3 students and another 1. That's a big mistake, putting 1 kid on your title page, because everyone's going to be like, why is it this 1 kid here? It's not her yearbook, it's everybody's yearbook. You don't want to put that kid in that position. I like to follow up page 1 with the table of contents on page 2 and 3. Again, quick Google search, and I really like the way this looks. Page 4 and 5 is going to be my first divider. It's going to be my senior divider because I'm going to open right with the people. A quick Google search revealed a whole bunch of ideas. I really like this one. It's very clean. I like the way the collage works on the right. I don't know if I'll do all that writing or not, but I might just go with the headline, but this is the style I'm going to go with for my dividers. All the dividers will be consistent. I might change the color scheme up, but for the most part, this is what it's going to look like. So next, I'm looking for some student life layouts. So I just searched clean design. In this case, you could search any type of layout. You could just do yearbook layouts. You could look at the Walsworth website. There's plenty of layouts online to choose from. In this case, I just chose these 4 because I just thought they were interesting. I don't know if this would generally work in a yearbook, but for this example, I'm just finding 4 layouts that I like that I'm going to use to build my student life pages, and I'm going to alternate between the 4. There is nothing wrong with grid design. I'm a big fan of grid design in books. It's very clean. It's very organized. Our program's grid makes this very easy, so don't hesitate to search grid design as well. Step 4 is creating templates. I am a huge fan of using templates for my book. So earlier we found our table of contents page that we liked. And so I went into YB360 and I created this template that we're going to put out on 2 and 3. It doesn't have to be exact. You know, you can try to make it as exact as possible, but you can kind of just do a spin on what you saw. In this case, that's kind of close enough. We may tweak it later, but that pretty much captures the essence of what we were doing. Here was my student life divider. And based on that, I created this template that we'll use. Slightly different font, but I like that font. This is the layout that I found that we're going to use for the sports section. And so I'm not going to have, if I have, say, 20 different sports, I'm not going to have 20 different layouts. I'm going to use 1 layout or 2 layouts, and I might do a version of those layouts in the book, but I'm not going to create 20 different layouts for 20 different sports. I kind of like the way this looks. I love the dominant photo. I like the by the numbers feature at the top, so we're going to play with that. I didn't like some of that copy that's on the right and up at the top. So my version of it has a few more candids. I kept the number by the numbers feature at the top. And I do like the senior quotes, or, you know, the player profiles with the 4 circles on the left. here's that clean design that I found. And based on that, I created 4 different versions of that layout that I'm going to use alternating for my student life. And again, not exact, but close enough, and that's going to look really nice. Okay, so now that I have created all of my templates, I'm just going to go in and apply them. So I click here on Apply Templates. And then I've got my table of contents right here. Clear each spread. I've got my divider. I'm not going to worry about putting templates onto the portrait pages because those the software is going to create, but I'm going to have a divider here. Under class are going to be created automatically. I have another divider. Then I've got my faculty section. So again, that's going to be flowed in, so I'm not worried about that. I've got my fall divider, so I'm going to pop in this divider. And now I'm going to start. So here I created 4 layouts based on the design that I picked. And again, I don't know that this layout works perfectly for a yearbook. It's just a really clean design and just an example that if you find a design online, you can recreate 4 versions of it. So I'm just going to go with the 4 versions we had here. And then I'm basically going to alternate. So I'll start out here with the anime club and use my first one. And then I'm going to go down to extra help club. I'm going to skip the sports. I'm just going to work through the clubs right now and put on the second one. Blood drive is going to be number 3. Homecoming is going to be number 4. And then I'm going to repeat this process right down the ladder, going 1 through 4. Now, once I get to the bottom, I'm going to work my way back up to the beginning of the fall. And now I've created 2 sports layouts that I'm going to alternate. So every other spread. So right now, starting out with football, I'm going to use the first version. And then what I can do here is I can just skip. So I'll skip volleyball and do soccer, come down, skip girls soccer, do field hockey, skip tennis, and so on. And then I'm going to choose layout A and apply. And then I'll go back up. And now I just choose the other versions here. So this case, volleyball, skipping boys soccer. And I will apply. Now I'm going to go back out to my ladder. So when I get back out here to the ladder, what you'll see is we've got our templates ready for our divider and table of contents. Again, portrait section is all going to flow in, so we don't worry about that. We don't know about these open pages yet, so we're leaving them open because these are for things that might change during the year, so we'll fill those in later. But I've got my next divider, got the faculty divider, then the fall divider, and then you'll see what I have is I've got the layout set for all of these pages ready to go. So now I don't have to worry about the staff coming in and trying to invent something or create something. They just need to know, you know what, I'm working on the art showcase page. And in this particular case, I've got 8 photos on the page. So I'm going to go and take 100 photos, but I'm going to use my best 8 on the layout. Same thing with sports. What I like about the sports layout, let me just jump in here, is I know when I tell someone, hey, you're going out to do the cheerleading page, I'm going to need a dominant photo. So we want to make sure that we get this nice big shot. That's going to be our best photo on the page. And then afterwards, I'm going to use 7 more photos. We're going to do 3 cutouts, like I saw in the example. So what we want to make sure is we get those 3 posed, and it could be anybody on the team. Figure out what these numbers are going to represent, or you could just drop those if you want, if you don't want to stay exactly with the theme that we had. And then we're going to showcase 4 kids and ask a question. What's your favorite memory from cheerleading? What are the team's goals for this year? You guys can come up with questions. They're not hard. And then we ask all 4 kids, and then we'll just fill in that information. But it's nice because you send the students out to cover this, and they know exactly what they're looking for. It's not like they're just going to walk out, take a bunch of photos, and say, okay, where are we going with this? We've got a roadmap right here. We've got a plan. And now all the kids have to do is go out and execute the plan. It makes things a little more organized, a little more goal-oriented, which I like. The best thing about this is it's really easy. All the kids have to do is get the coverage, open up the page, drop the photos in, add their text, and we can do styles based on the cover, which we can do an art package, or you guys can create something that we just drop in. But now you take all of this walking through the mud work of creating all these layouts out of it. This I did just this morning. So this was done in about an hour. I know I do have that Batman-like skill set, but it really isn't that hard to go out to Google, find layouts that you like, create those. And if you want to do more layouts, like I just did 2 sports layouts here, you could do 2 or 3 or 4 variations of that and alternate that. That's fine. Totally up to you. But now is such a good time to find these layouts, nice clean layouts that have cool designs and cool things with them. Plan them out, create your templates, and just drop them in. So now that our ladder is done and we have all of our templates set up, all we have to wait for is things to happen during the course of the year. And so now you're just going to set up assignments. So basically, you get back in September and you're going to look at your ladder, and we set a date to everything on the ladder so that we know when things are happening. And let's say it's going to be the anime club. The anime club, say, organizes at the end of September. On a Monday, you'll sit with your staff and you'll tell them that this week we're covering anime club. Who wants it? You assign that to someone on a Monday. It's due the following Friday or the Friday in front of you. You can go in a 1-week cycle or a 2-week cycle. I like the 2-week cycle. And then as a group, you'll talk about what needs to be on the page. Where does the anime club meet? What are they up to? What are the subjects of the photos we're looking for? I would think with the anime club, we definitely want to get some of their artwork involved. We want to get pictures of them actually working on the art. Talk it through as a group as to what you expect to see from those photos. Make sure that we're taking at least 100 photos. In this case, my layouts, we only need, you're going to probably need 8 to 12. My layouts needed a few less. But I have that rule of 5%, where 5% of my photos are good. So if I take 20 photos, 1 will be really good. So if I need 8 photos, got to take a couple of 100 photos. So definitely make sure they're taking lots and lots of photos. What copy do I need on the page? We don't have to be super copy heavy here, but it would be nice to have a small write-up about what the anime club is working on, how they were founded, what their mission is, what their goals are. That doesn't take too much. And that's basically that who, what, where, when, why, and how. Make sure you get some quotes from some of the kids, get some roster information, any information that might be relevant. You can never have enough information about the spread. Once they've covered that, they basically come back, log into Online Design, upload their photos. They open up the page that they're working on. The layout's already there. And all they have to do is drop in the photos and type the copy. That's it. Then they hand it back to you, you proof it, and then the following Monday, you assign them a new spread. By taking the design aspect out of the process, you're basically just turning your kids into reporters. They go out into the building, they get the information, they get the photos, they get all the pieces to the puzzle, they come back and they just place the photos. Makes life very easy. And then basically you just repeat that process on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis. And that's it. You add that to your portraits and you're done. What I really, really, really can't stress enough is the importance of setting up a ladder where you're not gathering. You're not waiting on parents and you're not waiting on coaches. You're not waiting on anybody. You can send your team of kids out into the building, out onto the fields, out into the classrooms to get what you need that week to put your book together. This way you're not relying on anyone and you can work on your schedule. But by far, the biggest benefit of doing your book this way is that everything can be assigned on a Monday and it can be done on a Friday. You don't have to wait for anything.